Happy New Year. I'm wishing you lots of reading time with your family. Happy New Year. I'm wishing you lots of delicious food in your tummy. Eating pancakes, eating pancakes. Eating pancakes, pancakes. Eating pancakes, pancakes. Eating pancakes, pancakes. Don't forget the bagel. Eating pancakes, pancakes. Judith's eating bagels. Eating pancakes, pancakes. Becca's in the kitchen. Eating pancakes, pancakes. Elisa Viejo. Eating pancakes, pancakes. 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 Granola balls. Nice. Awesome, awesome. Hello and welcome to Cup of Joe. Becca, good to see you again. Happy New Year. Judith, Happy New Year. Jeff, you gotta end the song with granola balls. You know, it's just it's the best. It's the best. Is it the best type of ball? Cookie dough balls are also pretty amazing. Welcome to Cup of Joe, where we reset, refresh, and remix as we will today. Share this live stream. Let's see. Ken shared it already. We have some other shares as well. Let's get this party started by sharing this stream. The theme today is refresh for obvious reasons. It's 2021. Happy New Year. 새해 복 많이 받으세요. Let us refresh within, refresh the world. We have an important election coming up in Georgia, as well as the inauguration of a new president. But you know, the fight for justice really is completely ongoing. So let us not forget that. Yes, today we have the amazing actor, poet, playwright, and musician, a consummate artist in every sense of the word, and one hell of a video gamer. We have Ken Yoshikawa. We're going to go over and say hi real quick. Hi, Ken. Yay, there's Ken. Look at that smiling face. We will be back with Ken right after this. As always, you can support the program at Joe Kye and joe@joekye.com. All right, here we go. We're going to continue. Hello to people who are viewing on Twitch as well as YouTube. We have, Kim is currently on the floor in the living room. Had shortbread cookies for breakfast. Sign me up. Floor of the living room. That's very, there's something beautiful about that. I bet there's a lot of cat fur around. Let's see, here we go. I'm going to like these things and love these things in the comments. As always, I'm reading your comments as we go. So if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have concerns about your plumbing system, if you have concerns about your squeaky door, if you want hardware advice, then this is the place. This is definitely the place to put those in the comments. Anything you want to say, maybe perhaps some New Year's resolutions. This year, my New Year's resolution, I guess for the sake of having a New Year's resolution, is to just create. I guess inspired by Kim Gumbel, but it's just to create, right? Don't worry so much about it being perfect or amazing. Just make stuff and put it out there. And I think Cup of Joe, this is definitely the best forum for me to be able to do that. Have awesome supportive people who are watching and following along. So here we go. This is gonna be a little cover. This is Say So by Doja Cat, with a little Joe Kye twist, I guess. Here we go. Case in point. If you have other cover requests, post them in the comments. I may get to it. I may not, honestly. It's 2021. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. That fills me with joy. Um, I don't usually I don't usually play covers, but when I do, I have fun. All right. If you had fun, of course, you can support this program and make sure that Cup of Joe still happens. You know, let's keep this boat a rowing. Venmo at Joe Kye, PayPal Joe at joekye.com. If you were to type in Joe at joekye.com on PayPal, you would discover that you would be sending money to some person named Hyun Kai. Um, that is me. That is my legal Korean name. Uh, yeah, even though I used to be really scared of telling people that. All right. Speaking of fear, we are moving on to our next little segment, which is our special guest. And by fear, I mean no fear at all. I am so inspired by Ken's depth of thought, his way of living art out in so many different creative forms, whether it is as a playwright, whether it's through acting, his poetry, which is like, um, and his music. So like so many different hats um, that Ken wears, but they all happen to be of the creative variety. Okay, so please welcome to Cup of Joe, Ken Yoshikawa.
What's up?
Hi, Ken.
Hey, you know how to make someone feel good, Joe.
That's my goal. That's all I do this for.
Thanks for having me on. It's so good to be here.
It's seriously my pleasure. Thank you for waking up and being with us at this hour. This is not normal hours, but this is 2021. Who knows, right?
Right, right. I've been trying to wake up a little bit early, go to bed a little bit sooner.
Like what is little bit? What does that mean?
I don't know. I've been going to bed up until about a week or two ago, and at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm like, I would like to go to bed maybe before midnight, maybe be asleep by 2 o'clock. It still takes me hours, so it's conditioning,
Well,
like
why not? I mean, so okay, there's this awesome story that I heard about Dali, the awesome like painter, trippy melting clocks.
drippy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he used to every night, or I guess every night that he planned to paint, he would sit in a chair, hold a spoon, and then like sit and wait until he started to doze off. The spoon would slip out of his hand and fall onto a plate, and he would wake up, and that's when he would start painting, because that's like your most creative zone. Yeah,
Oh my God, I love it.
right. I mean, when night comes and your brain starts getting fuzzy, I think we can explore parts of ourselves that perhaps exist more in dream realms.
No shit. That's
You're
great.
allowed to
Yeah,
swear now.
like
It's
I
okay.
love that. Oh, I am. Okay, no shit. That's so fucking cool. No.
No, actually, okay. Wait, there might be kids
Okay.
watching, so let's
Oh,
keep it
okay.
down.
Excuse me. Okay, okay, okay. I feel responsible now. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no, no, no. I gave you the
No,
consent, so yeah.
that's good. That's good. There is no spoon though, so let's remember that.
Oh.
No, 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 no. I love that. That's Dali. Oh my God. Yeah, those are really cool
Yeah.
paintings.
Okay. So as always, as you can see, this this conversation is hosted by Trailhead Coffee Roasters, based in Portland, Oregon. They're a local and awesome company, ethically sourced. So please check them out. Thank you for hosting this conversation. So Ken, this is Ken. Obviously, people out there, if you have any questions for Ken, oh, Tessa's up here. Tessa says, Tessa, oh my God, how's it going? I would love to hear "What You Won't Do for Love" by Bobby Caldwell. Ooh, I will look that up. So good to hear from you. If people out there that are listening, if you have questions for Ken, it can be as mundane as "What did you have for breakfast today?" To "Where did you get that cool hat?" To any number of different questions that may pop up and float up in your consciousness. Um, Please, yeah, write them in the comments. But first, we start as we do every interview, which is: do you have a childhood memory around, art, music, theater, creativity, anything of that sort that you would like to share with us?
Mm, well, yeah. I wasn't too artistic or intentionally artistic as a kid. And like I remember playing with my toys very imaginatively, having a good time. But I remember in the third grade, it was about that time when I started writing, and at least in class, and I would make Star Wars fanfic, but mostly focusing on like the like the starfighter battles and stuff, and I just invent like starfighters, like I don't know, Z-wings and some
Oh,
odd stuff like that. And yeah, it wasn't until mostly high school when I actually started getting more into art. But
no! Whoa, whoa,
yeah,
whoa!
yeah,
Don't sell your third grade self short. That's amazing.
no, no, yeah,
Z
yeah, it
wings,
was a good time. Yeah,
like
and
that's
like
yeah, and then
yeah, like and then it was flying, and they were like blowing up because they were hitting
that
things,
would
and it
look
was
amazing,
yeah.
like doing a barrel roll, like a Z wing doing a
Oh
barrel
yeah.
roll.
The
Full barrel roll. I well, first of all, like I tell people I am Star Warsian Buddha Christian at this point, like in terms of how I would describe my faith. So Star Wars is like is very near and dear to my heart. Like I read a lot of fan fiction, as well as like the whole kind of Star Wars universe, the Rogue Squadron series, and I love how there was like an engineering aspect to what you were doing as well in third grade.
Yeah, yeah, just like creating like more structural, like just like spin-off stuff, you
Right.
know, like having a good time.
That's amazing. That's also what I did in my sixth grade social studies class. I would say the majority of my social studies education at Washington Middle School in Miss Maribel's class was doing Star Wars Dungeons and Dragons.
What? That's cool.
That was
So you would have a character and
yeah. I mean, they
everything?
have a whole kind of they have the whole system like made for the Star Wars universe.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of character would you play? Like a bounty hunter or a Jedi
Yeah,
or
you could be a
Sith?
Jedi.
Or...
I think everyone could tap into the Force, and like you, that's like something that you could, yeah. But I think it was more like KOTOR, right? Like Knights of the Old Republic, where like you're kind of a warrior class, or you're like a scoundrel class. And I was definitely like the sneakier, kind of like shifty, yeah, that type.
Yeah, yeah. I have a running D&D. I used to play more D&D. I wish I'm excited to play more D&D. And I had a period of like 2.5 years I was playing with a group of brothers, and this was in my a few years ago, and I had a character named Mr. Nip Nap who was a cat folk, so it's more like traditional
Okay.
D&D. And he would smoke nip at the catnip and then like nip things, like steal things, and then just sleep around all just like nap, just nap. Yeah, Mr. Nip Nap.
That's amazing.
Good
I mean,
times.
and I think that's also the beauty of the D&D world, right? There's so much creativity involved. Not only as a participating character, but I mean, obviously as a dungeon master, but also, as a participating character. Um,
Do you DM?
Not, I haven't since, like high school, unfortunately, but I would love to get into it. A few of my friends do, but, I discovered that at the same time that I realized I have two kids to play dungeon
Yeah,
master
what?
to.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so when they grow up and they're like getting to that,
Yeah.
nerdy ages, right?
Right.
Like,
Jim
yep.
Mockford asks, Ken and Joe, what was your favorite children's book pre STSR Wars? Pre Star Wars. You are both Jedi. What was your favorite children's book? Do you remember?
Um, you know, I I guess if I listen to my mom, one of my favorite books as a kid was How Stuff
Mm.
Works. Um, like it was like a book, yeah, and it had like all the pieces, like it would have like a fire truck and then or like a building or like a house and I also remember reading Roald Dahl with my mom. Um, but my own favorite book, I guess, if I were a little bit older when I started reading, it was Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Definitely. I mean, when I was a child, like Boxcar Children was really big for me. Just the idea of unmooring, right? They don't have their parents, but they have each other, and being able to work as a team together in spite of poverty as well as homelessness, to solve crime. I think that was a really kind of meaningful. That was meaningful for me. Wonderful question, Jim. Thank you so much for that. So we're gonna do a little collaboration. Do you want to introduce what we're about to do here?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a playwright. I'm practicing playwright, new playwright. And I just wrote a short scene, a short play, and this is it's called When Will This End? And as two characters, one named Winley, who I'll be playing, and one named Zine, who Joe will be playing. And yeah, I think that's all that's needed for that, right? Let me just. Are you ready? You good to go? All right. Okay. Well, here we go. Does this ever end?
We've been over this.
Yes, but what was the answer? What came of it?
Well, we circuitously wrangled around in a depressing fashion over the semantics of what you are so agonized about seeing the end to.
Well, that's because it matters if we were to define the what.
It certainly would. Like take the sun for instance.
Well, see, we know the sun will end. we will have to become part of its bloated and apocalyptic fusion before becoming some big space mess.
Yeah, but
But that's not what I'm talking
okay,
about.
okay. How about chocolate or coffee?
The end of chocolate or coffee?
Sure, why not?
But
I mean,
why?
it seems as arbitrary and as vague as the this you seem to be so philosophically hung up on.
Well, okay. I mean, well, both items are based on a production and harvest line that is A, dependent on an abusive and profoundly racist system of capitalism bent on global resource extraction, and therefore B, in the continuance of that flagrant and exploitative imperial industry, will annihilate the biodiversity and habitability of the planet in the inevitable and grinding demise of climate change. And so, yeah, there will be a time when there'll be no more chocolate or coffee.
God, I hope not.
Well, me neither. At least for us.
For us, what do you mean?
Well, the wealthy elite who sustain that system will probably have stocked most of the remaining coffee and chocolate in their well-armed and guarded vaults while they weather the last moments of human history, while the proletariat and other poor suffer to death.
Proletariat and other poor?
Yeah, well, the class-conscious working class and the other masses of people who've yet to become aware that they are in the midst of the longest war that has ever existed on the planet.
Longest war?
Yeah, class war, my dude, between the exploiters and the exploited.
And that's what you want to end class war?
Yeah, good grief. Yeah, there are only two outcomes to that, it seems to me.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
Well, I'm telling you, because either we all come together to dissolve the distinctions of hegemonic class by overthrowing the elite by any means necessary, thereby redistributing and recirculating all material wealth to satisfy the needs of all people, or we slowly die a miserable and collective impoverished death, surviving as long as we can under the the oppression of an insidiously organized team of greedy oligarchs.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of effort. Thank God we have coffee.
I'm unamused.
So is that what you want to end?
I mean, of course, and in our favor. But in order for that to happen, we need to end America.
America, the land of the free, the home of the brave.
It's the chief oppressor and genocidal agent of the face of the earth. And ironically, I don't believe it actually exists.
America doesn't exist.
That's right. It's thinner than a ghost, more figment than a dream, more delusive than a lie. America is a story, and not one worth telling but for the sole purpose of unlearning it. America is a calculated mistake, a hunger with no end, more empty than thirst, a myth with no reason than to control and
But
annihilate.
of course, America exists.
Well, what is America? Show me America.
The flag.
A bloody waving arm. Are you your name tag?
The history.
A curated story of endless
The
brutality.
land.
Absolutely not. Every inch was stolen and acquired through malicious manipulation and bloody domination. Genocide. It's an illegitimate claim.
The people.
See, yes, now you're onto something. We tell each other and all the story of America through our own identification with it. Like, dissolve that lie, though, and what is left are just a group of people clutching to their deadly comfort while they continue to bomb Indian country, the ever-expanding frontier of their full spectrum dominance.
So you want to know when America will end?
Well, yes, but
But
I just hate thinking how it will outlive me.
you okay?
No.
Well, I know this isn't the answer, but And scene.
Thank you.
Ooh, ooh, Ken. Um, it's yeah. Okay? Let's just start with the start here. Where did this come from? Like, why? Where was it born from? Yeah.
Uh, so I guess it comes from well, I mean, so for one, I'm in the practice of writing plays, and you kind of the best way to write is to kind of write about what's real to you right now, and what you're where you're at. And I don't know, for a good while now, I've been mm, I guess you could say I'm continuing to radicalize in opposition to imperialism and colonialism and capitalism and the core functions of absolute destruction that are killing everything on this planet. And as I continue to develop my own political education and to organize and to connect and to learn and to be humble and to uh, take in a lot of lessons and see things from a new perspective, and the more I learn about history, the more I just have absolutely lost all faith in this country. Like there's no honor in America. There's no goodness. I don't see any. There's of course people, and the people have virtue within themselves, but too many of us, especially like, we're holding really either malicious politics, if you're like heading to the right of things, or just milk toast weak complicit liberal politics that are not doing anything to substantially change or counteract the absolute disaster that is unfolding as capitalism and neoliberalism. I mean, like, yeah, it just is untenable. It's disgusting, and I'm appalled with myself and most people, but particularly against the ruling class. Like, I learned recently about Alexander Hamilton, and like yeah, screw Alexander Hamilton. Like, that man's classist, elitist, just absolutely messed up person. And so even though he might have started poor, and like there's the musical about him, but that's just kind of propaganda for liberal capitalism and stuff like that. I'm not for it. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, and I think yeah, the anti-federalists, right? That's what Hamilton was. Like, he was all about creating a centralized structure, but um, you know,
Well, he wrote the Federalist Papers, I believe,
okay,
with someone else, which was in like some publication. There was a bunch of them, so it kind of began to move toward the Constitution and stuff like that. Yeah, as I understand it. I mean, I'm still piecing it together, the history. So
huh?
it's
Well,
but yet he eventually became the Secretary of the Treasury, and like would levy taxes against the new America and like the poor, and then would just and then when the people didn't want to pay the taxes, that he would lead the army to go subjugate them directly at gunpoint and killing some people and wounding people. And yeah, it's nasty. It's nasty.
yeah. Well, I appreciate that you're bringing that to light through art. I think it's something. Well, okay. So two things. One is, I think the progressive kind of side of things that you're talking about. One of the things that I see on both sides is this idea of American exceptionalism, um,
Mm.
and this idea that, okay, even if you're on the right or if you're on the left, there's this idea that, well, America is there's something specifically um, unique about America that makes it morally better than anyone else. And
Mhm.
I think that's not the case. I think that leads to complacency, right? Wherever side you are on,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
more clearly you can see America for its beauty as well as its flaws, the more you can actually address and try to make the community around you better.
Yeah, yeah. American exceptionalism and American innocence seems to be a propaganda scheme that was developed in the last, couple hundred years, particularly the last 100 years. Like, as I understand it, through just if we can sweep
Hmm.
slavery and genocide and imperialism under the rug, that still there is something good about us. And like, I think that is an absolute lie. Like, and the evils of this country outweigh the goods, like, and most of the things that are labeled as good are just manipulations to get people to, coalesce and be complicit in a giant horrible, like imperializing horrible system of settler colonialism. Like, it is absolutely brutal. It's and we want to be able to believe in the goodness of this country, but the more I learn, the less there is. And in the people, the especially the poor, the working class, and people who are marginalized, like, there is virtue there, but until people fall in alignment with opposing the oppressions of the world, it's just it's I think we do a lot of cognitive dissonance in this country. And so that's where the play came out of,
Yeah.
is part of me just being absolutely just so frustrated and enraged by that, and feelingly, and this is new for me. Like, I was a liberal, and I'm not, and that's the one thing you talk about, the right and left. The left of this country, at least the political, like, liberal, is not is barely left. It's like barely, it might be slightly left of center, if not slightly right of center. I mean, like, globally, right? So it's no, true left, like a socialist or communist or something like that. That's left, and that's not of the body of capitalism. Anyways, I can keep
No, no,
going,
no.
but this is what's on my
No.
mind.
So as you're talking about this, like what I'm flashing back to is, well, just like the appreciation of this type of thought, right? Coming from who you are. I met you through the theater community, um, and it's, I think I told you this before, but when I was growing up in Seattle, which is where I grew up, we would go to Seattle Children's Theater, and see plays, and there were zero Asian American actors. Period. There was one. He was on Mad TV, and he was a caricature, Bobby
Yeah.
Park or something. But he was just
Okay.
a dopey um, caricature of parade of Asian stereotypes, basically. Like that was his
Yeah.
primary role on
Yeah.
that show.
Yeah.
And he had to get paid, I guess. He had to make money to live and stuff too. But um,
Hmm.
and then now fast forward, here we are, 2021, and I see so much representation, at least comparatively speaking. So I guess I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on being an Asian American actor, and how that feels. What is that like? And yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about that. For one, it's nice to be regarded more as a human being than, like, and that's part of the effects of racism and white supremacy, which is part of, like, built into this culture from the foundation, from the Constitution and all such like that. So to keep it tied into history, right? And if you, I guess, for one, as to be specifically an Asian artist, it's of course, on one hand, it's really lovely to be, be able to represent and be a face to young people who may not see their likeness on stage, or on a sheet of paper written down, or being bold in some other way. And that's a wonderful, if I can inspire one person to make art in this world, I would consider that my purpose in life has been fulfilled in some way. And that the like as but I also see that being an Asian artist, on the other hand, is also, I mean, naturally political, because on one hand, you're counteracting what my dad wanted me to be, which was like an accountant or something like that, which is the expectations of the. I guess my dad isn't an American, but, like, I bet for a lot of folks whose parents are immigrants who want to assimilate into America, and, like, adopt, for Asian people, the model minority myth, which came out of the Japanese American incarceration. And so, and in order to do that, like, I've come to realize, part of being an Asian, like, the Asian, like, racial identity is I mean, racial identity is always political, and being an Asian, you're always compared to, whether you're doing it yourself or through other people, to whiteness and blackness, either to the benefit of whiteness and the detriment of blackness, because that's the established political structure. And so you're compared in negative ways to either, because, I mean, you're but the point is that I've noticed in myself, my allying to whiteness, and because I'm biracial as well. So being in, whether it's through my family or through my friends or through my, like, my social networks and my career and stuff like that, seeking to ally to whiteness and to connect to it, it's just because I realize in myself I desire power. And that's my own personal flaw that I'm kind of coming to terms with. But and then in turn, what happens is that we keep internalizing the anti-blackness that is in our, and the deep anti-black racism that is pervasive throughout culture and through everyone, and as a way to continue to through ourselves create those separations and like the hegemony, the class order of
Right.
things. It's really insidious. And so the being an artist, I feel like in some ways, as part of the process of approaching and deconstructing that, also politically, but not all artists are political
Sure.
as politically aware, so it's kind of a combination of the
Sure.
two. Yeah.
That's an interesting. I like how you're framing that, which is to say, you have the subscription to racism in order to have access um, to social mobility,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
something that we,
And that's
yeah,
yeah, and that's where that artist you were talking about, the one who was a caricature, he tokenized himself because he wanted to ally and cater to white people who have a very limit, who had at that time, and probably still do, but just less so probably, a limited view on the humanity of people of color. So that's yeah, and I'm glad to have been able to play roles and to work with people who do have a higher regard for folks like us, and for other all people of color and such,
yeah.
a more
Well,
humane.
so you were right before the pandemic. You were Ben Uchida, right?
Right.
At the. Can you talk a little bit about what that show was?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Journal of Benuchida was a play written by Naomi Iizuka, and it was actually it was a book written by a white guy, based off of Japanese incarceration and and a little boy who gets incarcerated with his family, and some tragedies that happen within that story. And then Naomi Iizuka, who's a Japanese American playwright, turned it into a play. It's like about 45 minutes, and the Oregon Children's Theater did that, and I was cast to play Ben, and I was really grateful for the opportunity. And then the pandemic hit, and 2 weeks, I think, into 2 weeks from the end of our run, we had to cancel, and because the closures and the crowd limits were being implemented by the governor, and so yeah, there was a moment being in the dressing room with the other actors and being like, oh, yesterday was our last
Huh.
performance. Oh my God, like that was really something. It was an interesting moment, and there was a grief process. It was sad, and but like a lot of actors across the country were going through exactly the same thing, whether or not they were in rehearsal for something that wasn't going to get performed, or they were in a play that was going to get like ended, and or they got cast in something that never got to begin rehearsals. I mean,
Do,
there's a lot of actors who are
yeah.
really
Do you feel like
struggling.
well, because the one show that I was a part of as an actor in high school, I feel like over the course of the run, I sunk more deeply into that character. So I guess I'm curious, like, yeah, walk us through a little bit of that grief process. I mean, how in tune with Ben Uchida do you feel like you got, and yeah, how did that schism manifest?
Yeah. Yeah, so on one hand, Ben and I don't have too much in common. That like I am, I'm biracial, so I'm part white, and then there's also like my family wasn't incarcerated, so I don't share that history. So it was a big honor that I could like participate and play this role under the guidance of people whose families were, and the like some of the other actors or like one of the co-directors. And so and then but as far as the character himself, like having like troubles with dad, like like we all have daddy issues in this generation, and getting into that, and just I'm someone who likes to really get into character, and but not in a way that's like toxic like some people,
Sure.
and like famous folks, but to be able to just and I have like I was listening to a lot of music, like for me Mac Miller was kind of like who I was
Huh.
listening to get into the Benuchita. And so I just let it, and then really building community and ensemble and finding characters through relationships with the other performers, and then just really committing to it. And so yeah, I would say that I was pretty deep into that kid, like psychologically in my own body, like to yeah, like, and so when it happened I was like, oh, okay, that's I felt it, suffice to say.
So, what are you said you've been writing some plays. what are you working on? Are there things that you would like viewers to go and check out?
I mean, I don't feel ready to talk too much about some of my more like projects if they're not really ready to be talked about. You know what I mean? So, I don't have to. Okay, so but I things that okay. So at the in response to the end of Benuchida, I wrote a short play called Lights Go, which was about the premise was months after the closing of Benuchida, the stage manager helps a different actor to come who wants to perform for his partner who has COVID and is in quarantine, and so she takes him to the derelict stage of Benuchida, and it's haunted, and by the ghosts of the characters who lost their story that was being told, and they seek to be seek to perform it, and so anyways, like they haunt the stage, and they have to appease the ghosts and stuff like that. So I wrote a play, and that's on YouTube somewhere. You can Google my name or Shawnee Harris Bagwell or Bagwell Harris, who directed it. Amazing local artist, and and
She's
yeah,
a good
so that's
human
a
being.
piece of yeah, she's cool. And I also write a bunch of poetry. Like I wrote a thing for Vanport Mosaic, which went on YouTube as well. And that's called what is it? Oh shoot, I forgot the name. It's Don't Let No One Turn You Round. It's about Vanport, the city up in the that got flooded when the dike when the dike broke
Right, right.
in the 40s or 50s. Yeah,
Huh. Well, oh man, Ken, I had the opportunity to create with you this September with Portland Center Stage and Renaissance Technically.
that was
It
cool.
was amazing. I'm such a huge fan of your poetry. People should check that out as well.
Thanks, Joe.
Um,
I also have a book. You can buy my book. Yeah, it's called Monster Colored Glasses. It's at yoshikawaken.com. You can, and then, yeah, it's a book of poetry about ghosts and monsters and perception. And it's a lot about abuse, being, surviving and healing from it. And yeah, it's about racism and perception and a lot of those things. Hmm.
ugh. Okay, 2021. Let's collaborate again. Um,
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for being on. And yeah, let's talk soon, Ken.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, Joe, thank you so much. Have a good
See you
day.
soon.
Bye.
Bye. Oh man. Oh, we are moving to the screen. Ken Yoshikawa, please check it out. Yoshikawaken.com. Um, we are moving on. Um, 2 weeks from now, we have Naima Lightseed, who is a medicinal poet based here in Portland. I had the chance to perform with her for a Portland Center Stage live stream show. Um, she will. I'm getting goosebumps and a surge of warmth, like right in my chest, just thinking about that collaboration. Please tune in 2 weeks from now. It's going to be a great show. January 16th. Thank you, of course, to all of Cup of Joe supporting partners, Bravo Youth Orchestra, OregonBravo.org, and Trailhead Coffee Roasters. And let's close things out. What are we gonna do here? What should we do? What should we do? What? What should we do? What should we do? Do what? Ooh, look, Ken posted monster colored glasses available at yoshikawaken.com. Monster colored monster. Maybe I'll lean into the monster to close out here. Let's go. Monster. Monster. Oh. 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 Monster. wearing glasses. It's a monster wearing glasses. Thank you everyone for tuning in to Cuppa Joe. Happy New Year. May this one be better than the last. For us, for them, and for those that fit into neither of those categories. Peace be with you. See you.